My church life is huge for me. It's like a second family, basically. I just had a graduation party, and I kind of realized after everybody was coming that I had about 10 friends there, and everybody else was from church. So
I feel like this church isn't very individualized. We're all a huge group. We all have choir, and everyone comes for church, and everyone is a group, and we go over for coffee hour, and everyone's talking to each other, and it's not like anyone's just like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to people. Everyone's very nice and welcoming, and it's just a very, very welcoming church.
I feel like everyone here is just a part of my larger family, and I feel super comfortable being around them, and I don't really feel that way with society today. So.
So the Serbian population in Austro-Hungarian Empire was under tremendous pressure, and they used various tools. They used starvation. They would distribute grains to the Roman Catholic population and leave their constituents of Orthodox faith starving, sometimes to death. When the opportunity came to leave to a promised land, that everybody spoke about, that was America, then they decided to embark on a very courageous trip and voyage and leave their ancestral land, leave their graves of their fathers, which in Serbian tradition is the hardest thing to do. We never do that. You live on your homestead, you stay there, your children will live there and your descendants will live there forever. But you can imagine what a pressure they were under. They decided to leave without the knowledge of the language, without any idea what is awaiting them when they arrive. So they arrived here, and the first thing they did, they started organizing and building churches. And the St. Nicholas Church and the fact that we have been in existence for 100 years attests to that. In 1917, they built the first church. So they were our ancestors who came here. They were not thieves, robbers, criminals for whom they didn't have enough room in prisons in Europe. They didn't come, they were not dumped off the ship here, but they came here in search of religious freedom and better life. And they did, and they found it. I think very important person not to forget, because how could we forget about the priest who served this parish in the most critical transitional time when the parish relocated from an old location on S and 30th Street on this location, and a person who built this church and who touched so many lives over the course of almost 6 decades. That is Very Reverend Father Vojislav Dašenović. He touched so many lives. He was a very educated man, a great leader, and when you think about it, how many people he married, how many people he buried, how many people he baptized, it's just magnificent. It is my honor to be successor of such a great person and priest, and I do not feel in any way intimidated to live in his shadow, because his shadow is the shadow of a mountain and will be there for a long, long time, and we should cherish it and embrace it, and thank God that we had such a great priest that served this church.
I was born in St. Louis, and I met Father there in 1948, and we were married in 1949, and I think it was the middle of May when we came to Omaha. This was Father's first parish. And he had to do a lot of work. The church was kind of neglected when we came here. And so he organized a good board, and they worked, and then we renovated our old church, and we built a fence around it, and late Mr. Plechas and Father, they planted the evergreens, if you recall, all the evergreens around the church, and we were there for many years. We were outgrowing.
For years, we were looking for land to build another church. And we finally found this spot up here, 11 acres. It's 11 acres here. And we decided to build the community center first. We had a contractor built the exterior, and then we took over. 35 of us guys volunteered, not all at one time, different weekends, and we finished building that hall. Us volunteers even put up all the steel, put up all the roofing, and we did all the interior work. And we served the church. At that time, they figured over $200,000. We finally got it done, and we were very proud of our accomplishment.
I came in this church 50 years ago. I was dating a young lady named Mary Povich, and I started coming to the services, and I was raised Catholic. I found a lot of similarities in the religion. Father Desenovich was great. Got to know him. The families here were wonderful. A lot of good people. I really probably at that time didn't realize what I was getting into. I didn't know how ethnic the church was. I didn't know about a split in the early 60s. I didn't know a lot of things. But with faith, you just go forward, and that's what I did. We do know that we are an Orthodox community, and when we come together, we are really strong. I love it at Easter, and I love it at Christmas time, when we have full churches.
The Soko Orchestra, according to my brother Joel, told me they started in 1927. And they had a professor from the University of Omaha at the time. Buckingham was his name. And he taught him till he retired, and he did a lot of work with my brother Joe in music and stuff. So Joe took over with the orchestras. And that orchestra played for quite a while. And there was, they bought instruments, which one of the instruments I still play, Prima, made in 1928. We played on WW Radio on Sunday afternoon, once or twice, I think. I know it was once. And we played around town quite a bit because at civic centers and Masonic Lodge buildings. And we all enjoyed playing in the orchestra.
I do believe the choir had a lot to do with our activity. We've always been one of the biggest supporters of the church. The COLA, the Mothers Club, and we've all been supporters, but the choir has dedicated a lot of time. They have always had their rehearsals once a week and have sung in church every Sunday. I believe that has kept our youth around, lifetime friends. And I think that probably is one of the biggest things that has held us.
Have come to the point in my life that there isn't many of my generation friends left. So, but in all those years, we always worked together and enjoyed each other's company and did a lot of outside activities together besides here at the church. And it's always, like I said before, church has been very important in our family all the time.
I think it's just strictly the love of your church, regardless of who and what activities went on, you were there. Because you took the interest in it to come there. I always was number one on the list.
We all, being members of a church of such a great history, we have this tremendous responsibility. It's not only honor, because every honor comes with responsibility. And that responsibility is to carry out and preserve our Orthodox faith and to hand it down to younger generations, to hand down the torch of the faith. That is our duty. To be 100 years old in a state that is only 150 years old, and to be 100 years old in a nation that is 250 years old is also a great thing. So this honor, like I said, comes with responsibility. But I hope and pray that we will be worthy of such a great gift and honor, and that we'll be able to preserve our Serbian Orthodox faith for the younger generations to come.